Good day, 7STE. Today's discussion will be about Environmental Science, Quarter 4, Module 4, Environmental Laws. The content of this video is taken from the self-learning modules produced by the Learning Resource Management and Development System of the Schools Division of Bulacan. Objectives: describe the different environmental laws and policies in the Philippines. At the end of this module, you are expected to 1. Describe the role of agencies involved in the implementation of RA 9512. 2. Identify the different laws protecting the environment. And 3. Apply the different laws in protecting the environment as reflected through different activities. What I know? Choose the letter of the best answer. Write the letter of your choice on your answer sheet. See pages 1 to 3 of Quarter 4, Module 4. What's in? Think back on what you have learned from the previous topic about the importance of sustaining Earth's resources for future use. Put a check mark if the given statement shows proper care for the Earth's resources, and a cross mark if it is not. Number 1. Flip the light switch off when you leave the room. Check. 2. Buy less plastic and bring a reusable shopping bag. Check. 3. Follow the 3 R's to conserve natural resources and landfill space. Check. Number 4. Clear forests for urbanization and wood use. Cross. And number 5. Burn fossil fuel and toxic gases. Cross. What's new? Hello, grade 7 students. Are you familiar with the rules implemented in your house and classroom about many things? Give at least 3 of them for our activity. Lesson 1. Republic Act number 9512 on National Environmental Awareness and Education Act of 2008. An act to promote environmental awareness through environmental education and for other purposes. Environmental awareness is to understand the fragility of our environment and the importance of its protection. Promoting environmental awareness is an easy way to become an environmental steward and participate in creating a brighter future for our children. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. By George Bernard Shaw. Section 1 of RA 9512 gives us the title, "The Act shall be known as the National Environmental Awareness and Education Act of 2008. Section 2 of RA 9512 gives the Declaration of Policy. The state shall promote national awareness on the role of natural resources in economic growth and the importance of environmental conservation and ecological balance towards sustained national development." Section 3 of RA 9512 gives the scope of environmental education. DepEd, CHED, TESDA, DSWD, DENR, DOST, and other relevant agencies shall integrate environmental education in its school curricula at all levels, whether public or private. Section 3 of RA 9512 also states that environmental education shall encompass environmental concepts and principles, environmental laws, the state of international and local environment, local environmental best practices, the threats of environmental degradation and its impact on human well-being, the responsibility of the citizenry to the environment, and the value of conservation, protection, and rehabilitation of natural resources and the environment in the context of sustainable development. Section 3 also states that it shall cover both theoretical and practical modules comprising of activities, projects, and programs to aid the implementation of the different environmental protection law. So the different activities and projects or programs that may be done are stated here. Section 4 of RA 9512 gives the environmental education and activities as part of NSTP. The CHED and the TESDA shall include environmental education and awareness programs and activities in the National Service Training Program under Republic Act No. 9163 as part of the Civic Welfare Training Service component required for all baccalaureate degree courses and vocational courses with a curriculum of at least 2 years. Section 5 of RA 9512 gives the declaration of Environmental Awareness Month. The month of November of every year shall be known as the Environmental Awareness Month throughout the Philippines. Section 6 of RA 9512 gives the interagency and multi-sectoral effort. DepEd, CHED, TESDA, DENR, and DOST and other relevant agencies shall lead in the implementation of public education and awareness programs on environmental protection and conservation. Section 6 also states that the DENR shall have the primary responsibility of periodically informing all agencies concerned on current environmental updates. The DepEd, CHED, TESDA, DENR, DOST, DSWD, and barangay units shall ensure that information is disseminated to the subject students. Section 6 also states that the DOST is mandated to create programs that will ensure that students receive science-based quality information on environmental issues. Section 7, Capacity Building. The DepEd, CHED, and TESDA, in coordination with the DENR, shall undertake capacity building programs nationwide such as trainings, seminars, workshops on environmental education. Section 8 of RA 9512 states the separability clause. Section 9 states the repealing clause. And Section 10, the effectivity. Lesson 2. Different laws protecting the environment. Republic Act No. 8749, otherwise known as the Philippine Clean Air Act. RA 8749 is a comprehensive air quality management policy and program which aims to achieve and maintain healthy air for all Filipino. So what are covered by the Clean Air Act? All potential sources of air pollution must comply with the provisions of the law. All emissions must be within the air quality standards. Mobile sources refer to vehicles like cars, trucks, buses, jeepneys, tricycles, motorcycles, and vans. Point sources refer to stationary sources such as industrial firms and the smokestacks of power plants, hotels, and other establishments. Area sources refer to sources of emissions other than the above. These include smoking, burning of garbage, and dust from construction and unpaved grounds, etc. Republic Act No. 6969 or Toxic Substances and Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act of 1990. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources shall be the implementing agency. It provides for the regulation of all chemical substances that may pose threat to public health and the environment. Under RA 6969, registration of the following is required: hazardous waste generators, hazardous waste treater, and hazardous waste transporter. Under RA 6969, violators shall be subject to fines, imprisonment, dismissal from office, confiscation, and forfeiture of chemical substances and mixtures in favor of the government, and deportation and exclusion from entry into the Philippines in case of foreigners. Republic Act 9003, otherwise known as the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. It provides the necessary policy framework, institutional mechanisms, and mandate to the local government units or LGUs to achieve 25% waste reduction through establishing an integrated solid waste management plan based on 3 Rs: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Presidential Decree Number 825 providing penalty for improper disposal of garbage and other forms of uncleanliness and for other purposes was approved on November 7, 1975 by virtue of the powers vested in former President Ferdinand E. Marcos by the Constitution. Section 1 of PD 825 states that all citizens and residents of the Philippines shall undertake the cleaning of their own surroundings, their yards and gardens, as well as the canals, roads or streets in their immediate premises. All garbages, filth, and other waste matters shall be placed in their proper receptacles for the disposition thereof by garbage collectors. Section 2 of PD 825 states that any person who shall litter or throw garbage, filth, or other waste matters in public places shall suffer an imprisonment of not less than 5 days nor more than 1 year, or a fine of not less than 100 pesos nor more than 2,000 pesos, or both. If the violator is a corporation, firm, or other corporate entities, the maximum penalty shall be imposed upon the president, manager, director, or persons responsible for its operation. Section 3 of PD 825 states that owners of idle lots in Greater Manila area are required to keep their idle lots clean to prevent them from becoming the breeding places of mosquitoes, flies, mice, rats, and other scavengers. Section 4 of PD 825 states that the Secretary of Public Works, Transportation, and Communications shall supervise the implementation of this decree. Section 5 states that all provisions of laws, decrees, order, or regulations inconsistent herewith are hereby amended or modified accordingly. Section 6 states that this decree shall take effect immediately. Republic Act Number 9175, an act regulating the ownership, possession, sale, importation, and use of chainsaws, penalizing violations thereof and for other purposes. Section 1 of Republic Act 9175 gives us the title, "The Act shall be known as the Chainsaw Act of 2002. Section 2 of RA 9175 gives us the declaration policy. The state shall pursue an aggressive forest protection program geared towards eliminating illegal logging and other forms of forest destruction which are being facilitated with the use of chainsaws. So the state shall therefore regulate the ownership, possession, sale, transfer, importation, and/or use of chainsaws to prevent them from being used in illegal logging or unauthorized clearing of forests. Section 3 gives us the definition of terms. Letter A. Chainsaw shall refer to any portable power saw or similar cutting implement rendered operative by an electric or internal combustion engine or similar means that may be used for but is not limited to the felling of trees or the cutting of timber. Chainsaw dealer shall refer to a person, natural or juridical, engaged in the manufacture, importation, distribution, purchase, and/or sale of chainsaws. Department shall refer to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and Secretary shall refer to the Secretary of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Section 4 of RA 9175 states that chainsaws shall only be sold and/or imported by manufacturers, dealers, and/or private owners who are duly authorized. Section 5 of RA 9175 enumerates the different persons authorized to possess and use a chainsaw. Letter A has a subsisting timber license agreement, production sharing agreement, or similar agreements, or a private land timber permit. B is an orchard and fruit tree farmer. C is an industrial tree farmer. D is a licensed wood processor, and the chainsaw shall be used for the cutting of timber that has been legally sold to the said applicant. And letter E shall use the chainsaw for a legal purpose. Agencies of the government that use chainsaws in some aspects of their functions must likewise secure the necessary permit from the department before operating the same. Section 6 of RA 9175 states the registration of chainsaws. All persons who own or are otherwise in possession of chainsaws must register the same with the department through any of its Community Environment and Natural Resources Office, who shall issue the corresponding registration certificate or permit if it finds such persons to be qualified hereunder. Section 7 of RA 9175 states the penal provisions. Selling, purchasing, reselling, transferring, distributing, or possessing a chainsaw without a proper permit shall be punished with imprisonment of 4 years, 2 months, and 1 day to 6 years, or a fine of not less than 15,000 pesos but not more than 30,000 pesos, or both, at the discretion of the court, and the chainsaws confiscated in favor of the government. Unlawful importation or manufacturing of chainsaw shall be punished by imprisonment of not less than 1 month nor more than 6 months, and a fine of not less than 1,000 pesos nor more than 4,000 pesos. Tampering of engine serial number shall be punished by imprisonment of not less than 1 month nor more than 6 months, and a fine of not less than 1,000 pesos nor more than 4,000 pesos. Actual unlawful use of chainsaw shall be penalized with imprisonment of 6 years and 1 day to 8 years, or a fine of not less than 30,000 pesos but not more than 50,000 pesos, or both, at the discretion of the court, without prejudice to being prosecuted for a separate offense that may have been simultaneously committed. The chainsaw unlawfully used shall be likewise confiscated in favor of the government. Furthermore, if the violation under this section is committed by or through the command or order of another person, partnership, or corporation, the penalties herein provided shall likewise be imposed on such other person or the responsible officers in such partnership or corporation. If the offender is a public official or employee, in addition to the above penalties, he shall be removed from office and perpetually disqualified from holding any public office. Section 8 of RA 9175 states the reward. Any person who voluntarily gives information leading to the recovery or confiscation of an unregistered chainsaw and the conviction of persons charged thereof shall be entitled to a reward equivalent to 20% of the value of the chainsaw units. The department is authorized to include in its budget the amount necessary to carry out the purpose of this section. Section 9 of RA 9175 states the authority of the Secretary to issue the implementing rules and regulations within 90 days upon approval of this Act. He shall likewise organize an office within the Department to ensure that requirements imposed by this Act may be complied with by qualified persons. Section 10 of RA 9175 states the revocation of registration and permit previously issued to a person found violating the provisions of this Act or the rules and regulations issued pursuant thereto. Section 11 of RA 9175 states the creation of the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee to monitor and oversee the implementation of this Act, including the approval of the rules and regulations issued pursuant hereto. Section 12 of RA 9175 states the transitory provision. It states that the Bureau of Customs is prohibited from approving any chainsaw importation without clearance from the said department. Section 13 of RA 9175 states the separability clause, Section 14 the repealing clause, and Section 15 the effectivity. Republic Act No. 8485, an act to promote animal welfare in the Philippines, otherwise known as the Animal Welfare Act of 1998. Section 1 of RA 8485 states the purpose of this act, to protect and promote the welfare of all animals in the Philippines. Section 2 of RA 8485 states that no person, association, partnership, corporation, cooperative, or any government agency or instrumentality, including slaughterhouses, shall establish, maintain, and operate any pet shop, kennel, veterinary clinic, veterinary hospital, stockyard, corral, stud farm, or stock farm, or zoo for the breeding, treatment, sale, or trading or training of animals without first securing from the Bureau of Animal Industry a certificate of registration therefor. Furthermore, Section 2 also states that the certificate shall be issued upon proof that facilities of such establishment for animals are adequate, clean, and sanitary, and will not be used for nor cause pain and or suffering to the animals. The Bureau of Animal Industry may revoke or cancel such certificate of registration for failure to observe these conditions and other just causes. Section 3 of RA 8485 states that the Director of the Bureau of Animal Industry shall supervise and regulate the establishment, operation, and maintenance of any structure for the confinement of animals. The Director may call upon any government agency for assistance consistent with its powers, duties, and responsibilities for the purpose of ensuring the effective and efficient implementation of this Act and the rules and regulations promulgated thereunder. Section 4 of RA 8485 states that it shall be the duty of any owner or operator of any land, air, or water public utility transporting pet, wildlife, and all other animals to provide in all cases adequate, clean, and sanitary facilities. No public utility shall transport any such animal without a written permit. No cruel confinement or restraint shall be made on such animals while being transported. Any form of cruelty shall be penalized, even if the transporter has obtained a permit from the Bureau of Animal Industry. Section 5 of RA 8485 states the creation of a Committee on Animal Welfare that will issue the necessary rules and regulations for the strict implementation of the provisions of this Act. The Committee on Animal Welfare shall be chaired by a representative coming from the private sector and shall have two vice chairpersons composed of the representative of the BAI and another from the private sector. Section 6 of RA 8485 states that it shall be unlawful for any person to torture any animal, to neglect to provide adequate care, sustenance, or shelter, or maltreat any animal, or to subject any dog or horse to dog fights or horse fights, kill, or cause, or procure to be tortured, or deprived of adequate care, sustenance, or shelter, or maltreat or use the same in research or experiments not expressly authorized by the Committee on Animal Welfare. Section 7 of RA 8485 states that it shall be the duty of every person to protect the natural habitat of the wildlife. The destruction of said habitat shall be considered as a form of cruelty to animals, and its preservation is a way of protecting the animals. Section 8 of RA 8485 states that any person who violates any of the provisions of this Act shall be punished by imprisonment of not less than 6 months nor more than 2 years, or a fine of not less than 1,000 pesos nor more than 5,000 pesos, or both, at the discretion of the court. Section 9 of RA 8485 states that all laws, acts, decrees, executive orders, rules, and regulations inconsistent with the provisions of this Act are hereby repealed or modified accordingly. Section 10 states that the Act shall take effect 15 days after its publication in at least 2 newspapers of general circulation. Republic Act No. 7942, an act instituting a new system of mineral resources exploration, development, utilization, and conservation. Former Philippine President Fidel Ramos signed an act instituting a new system of mineral resources exploration, development, utilization, and conservation, the Philippine Mining Act, into law in 1995. This pro-mining law was a clear attempt to spur foreign direct investment and boost the economy. It provided many incentives to prospective companies, including political rights, full ownership of land, and tax holidays. As a result, from 1994 to 1996, the country hosted a 400% increase of foreign mining companies. However, many of the mineral-rich areas in the Philippines overlapped with its indigenous population. Thus, court battles ensued between indigenous people, some of whom were displaced, and the Philippine government. The former challenged the constitutionality of the law, citing provisions in the 1987 Constitution that protected indigenous people and restricted foreign involvement in natural resource extraction. The latter argued that outsourcing mining would increase foreign investment, create jobs, and be worth up to 840 billion US dollars. In 2004, the Supreme Court of the Philippines initially ruled on behalf of the anti-mining crowd. However, under immense pressure, it soon overruled its decision and sided strongly on behalf of the pro-mining government, supporting economic growth over ethical and environmental matters. What's more, Independent Activity 1. Write the meaning of each acronym of the Philippine government agencies and their roles in protecting the environment. Independent Assessment 1. Identify whether the following statements are related to RA 9512. Put a check mark if it is related and a cross mark if it is not. Independent Activity 2. Match column A with column B. Write the letter of the best answer. Independent Assessment 2. Write T if the statement is correct. If it is false, change the underlined word or words to make the statement correct. Independent Activity 3. Look at the images given below and think of possible ways or solutions on how to prevent or lessen the effects of the following problems of humans and the environment. Write your answer on the column next to the picture. Overpopulation, air pollution, improper waste disposal, illegal logging, and deforestation. Independent Assessment 3. Fill in the blanks in each statement. Choose your answer from the words in the box. So your choices are environmental, conserve, clean, government, and recycled. What I have learned. Supply the missing words in the selection below. Look for the missing words in the word box. So your choices are improper waste disposal, deforestation, PD 825, RA 8749, illegal logging, RA 9003, air pollution, overpopulation, and DENR. What I can do. Make a slogan about helping government agencies in encouraging people to protect the environment. Use a long bond paper and coloring materials for this activity. Refer to the rubric on the next page as your guide. So for what I can do, you will be graded based on the following category. First, presentation. The slogan clearly communicates the main idea and strongly promotes awareness. Creativity and originality. All the graphics used on the slogan reflect an exceptional degree of student ingenuity in their creation. Accuracy and relevance of the content. All the graphics in the slogan are accurate and related to the topic. Grammar. There are no grammatical mistakes on the slogan. So the perfect score for this activity is 20 points. Assessment. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Write your answer on your answer sheet. See pages 19 to 21 of Quarter 4, Module 4. Additional activity. Performance task number 4.4, essay writing. On your answer sheet, explain the importance of environment to all living things. Keep your essay within a maximum of 250 words. Do not copy ideas from Google. It should be original or an adaptation. So for performance task number 4.4, you will be graded based on this level of mastery. High mastery, 5 points. Mastery, 4 points. Approaching mastery, 3 points. Low mastery, 2 points. And no mastery, 1 point. And by Psych, Quarter 4, Module 4, Environmental Laws. Answer the following on your answer sheet. What I know, what's more, independent activities 1, 2, 3, independent assessments 1, 2, 3, what I have learned, what I can do, assessment, additional activity. The additional activity will be your performance task number 4.4. Upload your answer sheets in your Google Drive folder. The path is Environmental Science, Quarter 4, Module 4. Thank you for attending our Environmental Science online class. God bless you all.